Good evening! Tonight, we're going to be farming some Moogle Tomestones. And... just a moment. There we go. We're not going to be doing it in the most efficient way. We're mainly going to be doing it in a fun way, potentially entertaining way. However, just to start this stream, I am going to talk a little bit about what I've discovered by looking into the subject, what is an efficient way to do it, so that if you want to farm it in your own time in an effective way, you can do that. We're not going to be aiming for the absolute master farming spot on this stream. We're just going to be focusing on a way to have fun with it while getting some Mogtomes. But before that, hey Chaz, hey Kitsuneko, hey Gazel, hey Angel, hey Lemon. Thank you for 5 months, Coco. And thank you for, I'm pretty sure it's at least over a month from Sharo. Thank you so much. And a Lemon, and Rust, and Matthew, and Phil, and Orion. I hope you're all doing super well. Thank you so much. So, you're probably not any P1N power farming on this stream due to a few reasons. First off, I'm pretty sure at least a few of the people in this lineup actually wouldn't be able to participate if we did that. And second, I think it would be boring. I think it would be boring. Right, so my notes pulls up digital notes on the screen that you can't see. So obviously, as Matthew mentioned, the turbo farm strategy for farming Mogtomes this time around is P1N. So those that don't know, P1N refers to Asphodella's the first circle. Just the first raid in the current raid series. The reason for this is that while it has an itemable entry requirement of 565, it has no cap, so you can go in with full 660 gear and beat it in under 3 minutes. Under 3 minutes. This is significant because this means it's over 1 Tomestone per minute. Yeah, exactly. The P stands for Pandemonium. Not Asphodella's, weirdly. Or Abyssus or Anniversarius. Kind of funny that, but it probably works better because we already have Alexander. Angel says a friend has gotten it under 2 minutes 35. A significant thing to consider is that the lower the clear time is, the more important the time between goes takes. So if you want to calculate how fast you're generating Mogtomes, you need to go, when I click join, how long will it take until I'm out of the dungeon and able to click join again? If it takes 2 minutes and 35 seconds to do the run, how long does it take for everyone to exit, everyone to be ready to go again, queue again, and enter again? That part matters a lot if the full run itself is 2 minutes and 35. Interesting comparison is that in Monster Hunter, I believe it was in World, especially, for people that did speed runs of hunts on console, the amount of time between goes was insane because the load time could be over a minute, and the hunt itself was sometimes 2 minutes. So they spent a third of the time in a loading screen. So exactly, if you can do the whole thing in 2 minutes and 35, and you can then get out, re-enter, and start again in 25 seconds, then it's a tome per minute. And that is the upper bound. Intila says the best one is Blue Mage on Castrum Meridianum. How quickly has that been done? I actually filed a Castrum Meridianum under okay. I'll get to that. But that one is actually okay with no shenanigans. I'll get to that. But yeah, 10 minutes per run is actually worse than P1N, which is incredible for Blue Mage to be beaten like that. But of course, to get it to 2 minutes and 35, I'm guessing you would need like a full team of 660 geared players. So this isn't actually something everyone can do. Whereas the Blue Mage stuff, if you have a Blue Mage, and you can have a Blue Mage, if you want to have a Blue Mage, you can have a Blue Mage, that can be done. Does not require Savage rating. Then you can do it. It's also the only solo option. That's true. That is actually true. Not only can you easily solo this with Blue Mage, but as we have discovered in solo challenge stream, you can solo this synced, and the only requirement to get this is that it has to be synced. So you could actually solo farm Mogtomes with Castrum Meridianum without Blue Mage. You could do that. I don't know why you would do that. It would not be efficient, but you could do that. So, anyway, point is, about 1 tome per minute is like the expected upper bound of how many tomes you can get per hour, which means that if you sat down for 3 hours, if you somehow manage to accumulate 180 Mogtomes, you have done as good as should be expected, right? Like that's as good as it should be expected. If Castrum Meridianum can be done in 10 minutes or less, that's basically the second choice. Like that's if you cannot do P1N but you do have Blue Mage, then Blue Mages and Castrum Meridianum is like the second best. But after that comes many of the more mundane options. With the best option if you're doing nothing coordinated, like if you're just queuing for stuff, like you don't want to sit and fiddle with the party finder. You can't be bothered doing that. You just got home for work. You just want to farm some Mogtomes. You don't want to sit here and plan with people and get really smart about it. You just queue for frontline. You just queue for frontline. On average, a frontline match takes less than 14 minutes. Usually, sometimes it drags out. They cap at 20 minutes. But here's the thing. If you win, then 20 minutes is actually okay. I'll get to that. If you lose, then 12 minutes is okay. On average, if you had an equal chance of getting any position, of course, there's a skill part involved, but if we assumed it was random, then the average amount of Mogtomes you get per frontline is 7. A little bit over 7 actually, so 14 minutes or so is fine. And the key thing here is that fine is half a tomestone per minute, or 1 tomestone per 2 minutes. That is like the lower bound. If you do something that awards less than that, that's not an effective way to farm Mogtomes. And the reason for that is because there are actually multiple ways to farm 1 Mogtome per 2 minutes. Like, many ways to do it without going out of your way to do something fancy. You can get 1 Mogtome per 2 minutes. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, if you want just some Mogtomes, just farm frontline, it's actually incredibly convenient because you have around a third, actually a bit less than a third, I believe I calculated it to 30% or so of this PvP series left to get rank 25 so you can get your mount. So if you want these rewards, this is the perfect time to do that. Just farm PvP and do this while you're at it. Just grind some serious milestones and get some wolf marks, buy some of that event gear that lasts for a long time, and then get some Mogtomes. Like, you're filling out 3 things at once by doing that. If you're not for PvP, if you don't like PvP or for any reason don't want to do PvP, then basically all of the level 81 to 89 dungeons and dead ends are okay. You can do most of them in under 16 minutes. And if you can do them in 16 minutes or less, this is fine. Like, that's good enough. Again, that's okay. It's not perfect, it's not the best, but let me put it like this. You should not feel like you're wasting your time if you're doing that. Like, that's a good Mogtome per minute, okay? If you can do a dungeon in 16 minutes, you're good. On top of that, P9 to P12, at least P11 can be done. I think also P9 can be done in under 8 minutes. I've had pretty good success with that. Mainly because, well, as you can see on the screen, I did them today. But my normal raid roulettes recent, like in both yesterday and Sunday, landed me in like, I believe one of them was P1 and the other one was P11, and they can be done in like under 6 and under 8 minutes with just randoms, like just random people put together. It works. Sip gave me the same result, that he had a 6-minute run and an 8-minute run when he went and tested, so that should be quite reliable. Again, 1 Tomestone per 2 minutes is fine. Then for the options, so if you don't want to do that, or you can't do that, like maybe you haven't completed the MSQ yet, but you still want some Mogtomes, done skate. This one. If the queue time is short, I don't know if it is, I have not tested, I haven't had time to test. If the queue time is short, I think if your group doesn't wipe, that it can be done in under 28 minutes, which puts it on the average time. Now, the thing is, you have to have your group not wipe, so make sure to let people know that the pull-in happens twice. Let them know to move the ad away on the penultimate boss. Focus it before it wipes the raid. Like, if there's some mechanics you notice that people tend to wipe on, say something, make macros to like announce it so that people don't make mistakes. That's a good one. And then there's Castrum Meridianum without blue mages. I have done that in under 16 minutes in a normal group. Like just MSQ roulette, land in this, and then done it in under 16 minutes. So that's fine. Like, if you get Castrum Meridianum, you're pretty happy. If you get Praetorium, on the other hand, not as good. If you get Porta de Cumana, that's a disaster because that takes like 16 minutes. I'm pretty sure. What did you find, Angel? I think Angel did it in 16 minutes. Like that one, like you do not want to queue for this unless you're doing it for the other rewards as well. But Castrum Meridianum is nice. I'm pretty sure that if you had blue mages, then you wouldn't do it. But if you had blue mages, this can be done in like 12 minutes. I'm pretty sure Circus Tower can be done in 10 minutes or less. It's like, those are also options. I'm not sure how long they usually take with randoms, like just in Alliance raid, but here's the thing. And that is actually the ultimate conclusion, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people want some Mogtomes, but don't necessarily want to like go out of their way to grind it. Maybe you also want to do your daily roulettes while you're at it. So, next tip, before we start actually doing some Mogtome farming, I'll get to that. What roulettes would actually be viable for like both getting Mogtomes and doing your other chores, so to speak? So the expert roulette gives 0 Mogtomes. Like, there's nothing there. Other ones that don't give anything is the 50, 60, 70, 80 gives nothing. The guild hests obviously give nothing. And trial roulette gives nothing. Like, you cannot randomly roll Mogtome content with these, as far as I recall. The rest of them, you can. Even mentor roulette, should you have it, but I mean, I mean, that is the big gamble to go for Mogtomes by just rolling the 1,000-sided die and taking whatever you can get. Don't recommend that. But level 90 dungeons, it seems a lot of people are actually specifically queuing for dead ends these days. Again, it's a decent choice, and if you get dead ends with the level 90 dungeon, then you get it. The thing is that it's a 1 in 5 if it was entirely up to random chance. So you're really relying on people specifically queuing for dead ends. Leveling roulette, if you're queuing as a level 90 job, then you have these 5 dungeons that could possibly land there. If you can get a light party together, all level 90, check this one, then you guarantee that it's going to be one of them. And for normal raids, well, as I said, my experience the past 2 days has been that I landed in P1 and P11. So there are a lot of people that are specifically just going in, like, this one's good, this one, maybe this one. Like, just choosing a bunch of raids that give Mogtome and just queuing for that. Which massively increases your chance of getting them, as long as you're queuing as a job that is at a level that makes it eligible for it. So, like, that's my advice, is that normal raid is actually pretty good. You might be able to just double dip. You both get the normal raid reward, and you also get the particular raid you wanted. Just free stuff. Alliance raid is also a pretty safe choice, because... Oh, look, it's DPS in need. Because all Alliance raids give Mogtomes. With varying effectiveness, but I mean, if you're doing Alliance raid roulette anyway, like if you're doing it for your weekly Tomestones, or maybe you're farming for some more relics, you just also get Mogtomes now. Like, you're probably doing it anyway, right? So that's one. Main scenario roulette, the same, although you can roll Porta de Cumana. Probably don't want that one. And I think, right, there's also frontline, but you generally do that as the roulette in the first place. I think that's everything. So, right, first question is, how many are we that want to join? And the second question is, who are they? If you walk up in front of my character, so you can see I'm humming over here. If you come over in front of my character, then I'll know that you want to join. If you rather want to have the dance party over there, that's of course alright. Yeah, just come over in front of me, then I know who wants to come. If you want to come, but you don't mind sitting out as much, like you want to be second choice, you can stand behind me if you prefer. If you rather just want to hang out, that's all right. You can stay over there. It's okay. Right. I'll start inviting from the front. Oh. The panda is blocking me. Oh, Matthew's here. And Tila says, I only have 25 minutes. I can't promise what content we're getting, so in respect of your raid team, I'm going to say you'll have to sit this one out, Tila, because I don't know if you're landing in something that catches you somehow. Your summon broke out. Oh, by the way, for those that haven't realized yet, do you want to join as well, Matthew? You can join if you want. There's a new mount. This mount. If you go to Uldar, there's a quest. Right here, like right around there, that starts Sumikote, can't remember her name. She's like a reporter. Level 15 quest. You do that, you get this mount. It can also do this. So just make sure to do that. And when you're done with the quest, go here. So right next to, like right here, there are vendors. There is a vendor selling some orchestrion rolls and like some other stuff, stuff that you will run out of if you use it. You know, like fireworks stuff. There's also another quest about Louisoire's journey that grants a portrait set. Isn't that the quest from here? Yeah, that's the quest from there. I believe that one actually has a pre-quest requirement of some sort, so might not be visible for everyone. 3MR says we played Prey to test our mental limits with a narrow dialogue. I didn't really go well. It didn't really go well. Well, I think Praetorium is like just not good. But if you can do it in under 30 minutes, it would be fine. I think. Let's see, we are 7, right? We're 7, so the question is, so I know Coco does not have any level 90 content. I know Gazel does not have any level 90 content. So going from that, we're 7, so we can't do PvP. I also know some people might not want to do PvP, so that's another thing entirely. Well, the best option we have is basically Alliance Raid Roulette. Just spamming Alliance Raid Roulette. Hey Ali. Phil says I don't know what plot you're on. I'm on my plot. It's right here. You can join, Holly. We are actually one person short, and Zila has to go for Savage Raid in a bit, and Kitsuneko specifically said they'd want to sit out. Phil, I think Phil actually basically asked for that slot first, so if Phil wants to come, then that might also be a thing. Let's see what we have. People are here. Like, if everyone does... So what we could do is, if people just go and start unlocking the Void Ark series, we could just make our way through it. Just people... It would be nice if people can, like, not go through the entire thing, like, go through the, like, the story cutscenes in full detail. But it sounds like Gazel can't start it, so that means... It means that we're probably going to be doing Crystal Tower a lot. That's okay. That is okay. That is fun in its own right. Alternatively, depending on how many people we are, we might just split up in multiple 4-man groups. We could do that too. Did I miss anything in the stream chat? Intila says, speaking of about Mentor, today I finally got the 1500th commendation. But now I'm in need to do Memoria Misera. Yeah, and you can't solo that. You need a group that actually respects the mechanics and stuff like that. It's not hard. It's not hard. Hey, Nirmia. Hey, Karasu. Make your way to my plot and we'll see how many people are here that wants to join. I wrote my details just a little bit above. You should be able to see it, I think. Let me just pin it. Yes, Phil. And Phil's dead. Shade asks in game, what's wrong with Void Ark anyway? If you mind me asking. There's nothing wrong with Void Ark. There's nothing wrong with the Ivalice raids either. There's nothing wrong with the Near raids. The reason why people don't want to do them is for a few reasons. Let me just wait for people to get here. The first one being Crystal Tower is shorter. That's it. The reason why Crystal Tower is shorter matters is because if you're below level 90, then you get like an XP reward for doing Alliance Raid Roulette. And that reward actually scales with the duration, approximately, like the approximate expected duration of the Alliance Raid, so the ones that take more time give you more XP. But all of the other rewards are fixed, and if you're level 90, you don't get the scaling XP reward. So you could do Near Raid, takes 40 minutes, and you get this. Or you could do Crystal Tower. Circus Tower takes like 13 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and you get this. Like, same reward. The only difference being the Near specific rewards, which you could do by queuing for it specifically. Like, if that's why you're there, you could do that instead. The second reason is specifically because people don't do those other Alliance raids nearly as much. They are more likely to fail. The Stormblood raids don't have super lethal mechanics. You can usually like make your way through them without wiping. The Near raids also don't have that problem, but the Near raids are the longest. Like, significantly the longest. So people don't want to do them unless they're there for Near stuff. The Heavensward Alliance raids are extremely brutal, and multiple bosses in each of the Alliance raids have the capacity to wipe you. Like, just single-handedly wipe you. For instance, the first boss in Dun's Gate, you can probably avoid one wipe in the raid by just announcing, letting everyone know when you enter. Remember, the pull-in happens twice, because if you don't keep running after the first pull-in, you die. So like, just that announcement will reduce the amount of wipes you'll have. And the reason why this matters is simply because if you don't know how long the Alliance raid takes, then you don't know how much time you need. This is comparable to like, for example, I don't know how many of you played League of Legends, but back in my day, you needed to assume that a match could take up to an hour. So you couldn't just start a match if you didn't have an hour, otherwise you would risk having to leave mid-game. You don't want that. So the same problem happens with the Alliance Raid Roulette, that if you queue for any Alliance Raid, like you're level 9, you queue for Alliance Raid Roulette, you can get Near Raid and it takes 40 minutes, or you can get Crystal Tower and it takes 15 minutes. You could also get Dun's Gate, and that could take 25 to 28 minutes if everyone plays perfectly. Or it can take an hour because you wipe repeatedly because someone isn't doing the mechanic right or something. Or people leave, which also happens, which means you spend time like having people re-respect the bosses. And yes, I mean re-respect, not relearn, because the problem isn't that people don't understand the mechanics, it's that in some capacity they don't care, because that's the only way. That is Orion again, by the way. It's still Orion. So like they ignore ads because they hope that they don't have to deal with them. You know the gist. If I ignore it, maybe someone else will deal with it, leading to wipes. The Bevel says, have you found a good way of grinding yet? So I went over some of them at the start of the stream, but basically, if you want to do it super efficiently, you grab your 7 strongest friends at max level and spam P1N. If you have a few Blue Mage friends, you can spam Castrum Meridianum for a almost as good result. But the one that has probably the highest capacity, I think, to like be super effective is P1N, because you can get 1 Mogtome per minute. Well, let's see. We have 2 spots. You have 2 spots, and we have 3 that want in. How do we go about that? Rock, paper, scissors. So just as a reminder, just as a reminder, we're not going to be power farming this in an effective way. We're mainly just going to be doing fun stuff. As far as I know, so I'm going to ask again. Okay, Gilano left. But in that case, you can join. We're not going to be doing this in an effective way. We're just going to do it as a like slightly a bit of a hangout, fun stuff, and it's a great opportunity to talk about like Mogtome farming. As I said, I start the stream by talking about effective ways to do it. So if you missed that, you can choose to rewind. You can also watch it later if you want to watch me live while I'm live. It's up to you. But let me just ask in game again. But yeah, if you want to do something like super hyper efficient, then this is like, we're not going to do the hyper efficient way. I've explained the hyper efficient way, but you can actually, you don't have to be super efficient. You can like just go about your business and you can get a lot of tomestones. So far, I've collected 81 tomestones myself, without going out of my way to farm anything. I spent 10 of them on the framer kit, but these 71 I've just collected from like doing dailies. Like dailies I would do anyway. So like you don't have to like do the power grind. Say no to ready check if you don't have Weeping City of Ma. Matthew, you don't have Weeping City of Ma? Oh, okay. You do have it, okay, in cutscene. Fair enough. I was a little confused. everyone has it. So we could queue for Weeping City of Ma. That would give Orion the opportunity to unlock Dun's Gate, which would mean we can do Dun's Gate. And you might, if you came into the stream a little later, you might be saying, why on earth would you queue specifically for Dun's Gate? The reason is that Dun's Gate you can do in under 30 minutes. Now, can being the key word here. Also, Dun's Gate is probably more fun to do than Weeping City of Ma. Or not what I mean with Weeping City of Ma. More fun to do than Crystal Tower, repeatedly. And then also, that would also just mix things up. We don't have to spam Dun's Gate. I just think it's it would be a fun way to like do some like different content. So I hope everyone is okay with that. Hopefully no one signed up for this and went, oh no, now I'm stuck doing an alliance raid I don't want to do. So I'm going to do another ready check for Weeping City of Ma. It's true, the final boss in Dun's Gate is absolutely mental. We have 3 healers. Anyone that wants to switch role? We have Shade on tank, so we need 2 healers and just the DPS. It seems. Lesa, what was your name in the stream? Wiping City of Ma. Well, we might get that. It's pretty funny. Now we have 1 healer. It's Rust. Okay, thank you. The reason why I'm repeatedly opening the party menu is because you were like the ready check jobs update when you open the party menu like this. That's why I repeatedly open it. It's like so that it stays up to date. I do not understand why it is like that, but it is. So here we are. I think this looks good. Now, I realize that I'm going to be playing DPS. So let me see what DPS is fun at level 60. I was actually thinking of playing Reaper because it's quite ridiculous at level 60, quite silly. It's a little weird. Okay, so final ready check to see if people are actually ready to party. And then we actually get to play a game. Isn't it incredible, everyone? We managed to start content only 38 minutes into the stream. Lemon says at me, I mean, at least you'd have Soul Scythe. True. That's also true, Phil. Monk's rotation is dumb until level 60. Like, specifically level 50 to 59, Monk's rotation is just... no. It's just like a big no. Like a sign that just says no. In like really panicked letters. Like you can see the person was shaking when they were writing it. It's just painful. Because perfect balance is wacky without Masterful Blitz. I don't understand why they give Masterful Blitz at 60. Well, so the positive side is that at least we'll have one group that maybe knows what they're doing in the Alliance raid, and then we hope everyone else also has an idea of what they're doing. Karasu says I got lost. So if you go to Ward 20, so you have to go to Louisoix Chaos, so EU server, and then go to the 29th Ward. And then Lavender South subdivision is probably the closest. Hey Gambler, what is your Gunbreaker question? Matthew says, I'm currently on a laptop with 20 FPS, so things might not go that well. You know, I've said this before, but it's usually more fun to do old content when things go wrong, as long as you still beat it. And then, of course, there's also the part, Matthew, that you're a DPS, so if you're suddenly having massive frame drop issues in the raid, you're just like in Alliance raid with 1 FPS, then fortunately, you're not a healer or a tank. Also, what happened? We had almost instant Q and then one person didn't respond. 20 FPS is never fun in general. Internet dying, mid-pull in P10S. Pandemonium looking at you like, these bars are unbreakable, as he points to his internet connection, which is at a solid 3 bars all the time. These bars are unbreakable. Yeah, exactly, Orion. That's the worst, by the way. That just sucks when you sit there, wait, maybe you had like a 10+ minute queue for something, and then one person doesn't respond, and then it's like everyone left. Magitrix says, I rarely play Reaper outside of Eureka, because even though it's strong, it feels weak relative to how OP it is there. Yeah, I'm guessing that the reason why Reaper feels so bad at low-level content is specifically because it doesn't have a lot of buttons. Like, it's strong. It does ridiculous amounts of damage in lower-level content somehow, but because it doesn't really have a lot of buttons, it just feels really weak. It feels like you're not doing very much. Gambler says, so an issue that's been coming up is during downtime in a fight, I'll end up having to do my reopener with 1 cartridge. So my question is, when should I use my No Mercy in this situation? So that can get awkward. Our resident Gunbreaker Master, Santu, might be absent tonight. But my advice is, if you know for certain that you're going to be cartridges short, one way you can go about it, and 2 ways you can go about it, my suggestion, because you do not want to postpone No Mercy. You do not want that. Either you can actually use your AoE combo, because that actually generates cartridges 1 GCD faster, so you can like generate 1 cartridge every 5 seconds instead of every 7.5 seconds. That's the first option. That, I heard, was actually something that Gunbreakers did in P8S, I believe, because there was like this huge downtime section. It's just generated cartridges to be ready for your burst when it came up again. The other option you can do is, if you know your next burst is going to have cartridge problems, hypothetically, you know I'm going to have too much downtime, so I can't actually have enough cartridges. What you could do is, like, if you have enough cartridges for a burst strike in your current No Mercy window, like you actually are about to use burst strike instead of a 1-2-3 combo. then what you could do is just use a 1-2-3 combo step, like in your No Mercy. Because the really, really crucial part here is that you want to make sure that you can get Gnashing Fang combos and, assuming you're level 90, double down during your No Mercy window. So you need those 3 cartridges. If you can cut 1 Burst Strike from a previous No Mercy, and that means you have the cartridges for a later No Mercy window to do the things that you need to do, that is a way to go about it. I think depending like that the actual correct answer on what you actually should do as a Gunbreaker in this situation depends on the fight. Like if you're optimizing for a Savage Raid fight or Savage Raid boss, you might be able to seek more helpful, specific advice for that boss by asking other Gunbreakers what they do about it. I hope you can use that, Gambler. Harley says, I had the Xbox handle Red Ping King at one house I lived at temporarily while playing shooters. Oh boy. Red Ping King. We have crocodiles. And more crocodiles. One thing that is very neat with Reaper in a level range like this is that you don't have a lot to worry about in regards to your combos. Like if for some reason your AoE combo is a higher ticket option for a few GCDs, then, well, you don't have like a special resource that comes at the step 3. So you don't have any specific motivation to finish the combo first. You can just go for it. Ow. 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 Ow, 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 ow. Why is there so much green? All the green. Sun Tzu is dead for quite a while already. What? Huh? I don't understand that one, Orion. Is it about Art of War? It is about Art of War. This is actually one of those bosses where things can go terribly wrong if you don't have enough players that know what they're doing. Uh-oh. 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 That came a little sudden. This might see that mechanic might seem a little familiar if you've been doing P10. I can't remember how you get down, but some players need to get down and deal with something downstairs. Does anyone remember how to get down? Is it over there? Ow. Kill the spiders creates holes. Ah. I couldn't see the hole. Well, I managed to show it in the last moment. That's something at least, right? The interesting thing is that I have a, for me at least, is that I've only done Weeping City of Ma enough times that I've started to recognize these kind of things. But my experience with this raid actually amounts to, well, sometimes those holes appear so you can jump down. I don't know where they originate from, so I don't know how to make them. But now we know. You all saw it. That was a very greedy turn on my part. I wasn't sure when the snapshot happened. I could easily have got myself caught there. All that looking away for nothing. Want to test something. Interesting. You just move away. Yeah, that is true, Lemon, that at like level 50, Reaper has nearly nothing. But that's the thing, is that while it has nearly nothing, it actually does incredible amounts of damage with nearly nothing. Can we... Do you get like a damage down effect, or could we just kill you? Just ignore your boss mechanic? I'm pretty sure we can. Ah, yes, the boots. Ah, yes, Black Mage corpses specifically. Wool says, what do you guys recommend to farm tomes? I'm only in post-Heavensward, so I don't have any endgame dungeons. Well, actually, if you're only in Heavensward, then your best options, based on what I talked about earlier in the stream, is probably either to unlock the entirety of the Heavensward Alliance raid series and just do Dunskate. That is one option. That is actually what we're doing for some people right now. That's why we're in Weeping City of Ma. Your other option is to do Castrum Meridianum, you know, the one of those with the cutscenes you can't skip. Those would be my suggestions, Wool. MSQ Roulette is like a decent choice, but specifically Castrum Meridianum is the shortest and most effective one of the three. Shortest as in, it's not the shortest necessarily, but it's shortest in terms of how many tomes you get. It's the most effective one of the three. So that would be my advice. Skipped some of the Porta de Comana Ifrit. Is that a thing? Cat says, but in Praetorium you can fit the gaps during laundry. I mean, if you can find something else to do that you value just as much, as your Mogtome farming efficiency, then Praetorium taking a long time is like insignificant. This one is like the party killer. He usually doesn't wipe the party because there's usually like a few players that know what they're doing. But this man can really, really cause some trouble. Just sitting on his ball. Oh boy. Sudden laser beam of death. So the weird goop on the floor gives this zombie debuff. At certain times in the fight, he will basically cast death on you, but the thing is, if you're a zombie, you can't die to death. Like, if you're a zombie, it's fine. You don't really care. But usually he will put down the goop, and then it's not necessarily there anymore when he starts casting death. What are you gonna do? Kill me again? Exactly. And this is the mechanic where you have to stand with someone. Otherwise you become a frog. I think this is the first time you get the red triangle debuff in the game. I'm pretty sure. And it always means you have to stand with at least one other person, otherwise something bad happens. I think usually it does something like... Oh, Gilgamesh has it. Oh. Really? You might be right. I don't remember him having the actual icon for it. You might be right. I'll take your word for it, Phil. Uh-oh. When you get a spread marker and know where to put it, you cannot kill that, which is cringe. Slayer, it's Slayer of the cringe instead of Slayer of the lifeless. Take this and this. Oh, Lemon, I believe that one is, it's the boss that is like a reference to a fight in Coils of Bahamut. It has a, like a special circle where you have to see he's casting Megadeth. But if you become a zombie first, then you can't Mega die. But there's this boss in the Coils of Bahamut that has this. It will mark one person that has to that needs to stack with one other player, and another person that has to stack with two other players, if I remember correctly. If you don't, you die. This boss instead just hits you immediately with the one where you need to stand with one other player, if I remember correctly, or quite suddenly with very little reaction time. So if you stand with one other person, you're good. More Megadeth. I Mega died. Yeah, but the thing is that one doesn't use the red triangle mechanic icon or marker, because the key difference is that if you stand with one other person for that mechanic, I believe it just doesn't kill you. Whereas if you stand with one other person for the red triangle mechanic, it actually completely nullifies the mechanic. So it's not the same, right? It's not the same mechanic. It's almost the same mechanic. Uh-oh. There's actually something really funny. It's not really relevant anymore, Because at level 90 you can, like, if you do it unsynced, I'm pretty sure many jobs can just skip that mechanic in Coils of Bahamut. But in Shadowbringers, it was actually tight enough that it might not, like, not everyone could actually skip it. So you had to deal with the mechanic, which led to the fascinating discovery that if you use a mobility action, you know, like Onslaught or Yarten, that is a backflip, like a backstep, but the idea is there. Hell's Ingress, although that wouldn't have been there in Shadowbringers. Like generally like displacement options right when the root happens, because the thing is the boss roots you and gives you the debuff where you have to stand with some other person. If you dodge right at the correct moment, you can actually end up in a situation where the circle is displaced from you, so you're rooted, but the kill circle where one other person has to stand with you is not where you're standing, so you can just not get killed because it kills, like, it hurts the player that is actually standing in the circle. So if there's no one there, it just doesn't kill you. It's pretty funny. I think I made it work once by accident. Haven't made it work since. Haven't needed to make it work since. But you can do that. If you just DPS, you can still get that mechanic, but but you can fold dots to avoid it. Yeah, I think it's a matter of, is there like a burst or uh-oh. I'm sorry. No. I didn't know the door was closing on me. Hold, yeah, right, hold DPS, fold dots. I kind of got what you were going for. I assumed you just meant something that I didn't quite understand, but I assumed you meant, like, doing a certain amount of damage quickly in a moment where it matters. Nice. Matthew has it. So the thing with this little fight is that you need a person to go to these sides and click a thing to get the shield. So it's a little bit like Ancient Flare in Labyrinth of the Ancients. And if no one knows that, then you wipe. You might wipe. It looks like we might almost be able to kill it beforehand. And like, that is another example. So the reason why these bosses in the Void Ark raid series, or City of Ma raid series, is scary, is because there's a lot of mechanics that require someone to do something, and if someone does something, I've just realized now, after all this time, that Gilano has been in the party in a different alliance all along. Sneaky, sneaky. Nice. We could actually have done that. Like, if we're queuing for something super specific and it doesn't instantly pop, then if everyone else in the stream queues for that too, then we basically can guarantee that we end up together regardless of how many people we're bringing. Yeah, my point is that boss fights or encounters in a dungeon or a raid or whatever it is, where to do the fight you need a certain number of players to do something, are actually scarier than fights where everyone has to do something. And the reason why that is scarier is because even if the responsibility is like concentrated so that like, oh, you just need someone to click this button and then it's all good. The problem is, if no one clicks the button and no one knows that they need to click the button, then you are going to wipe. And you might not know why. That is why it is scary. Specifically, that is the reason why it is scary. Because you don't know why. So it just makes it easier. Uh-oh. I can't remember what happens if those are just left to their own devices. I'm just going to soak it. Yet, as an example, the buttons there. But yeah, and then there's this. How many people do we need to have standing on it? It's pretty funny that they have a rerun of this mechanic of all things. Oh. And here we are, back in real world land. Ow. I suppose I was supposed to sidestep that. They call me the slow-mo GCD. 4 seconds. Whoa. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh. Oh yeah, that's the dice mechanic. Apparently, if I remember correctly, the dice was added because originally the mechanic didn't actually have a visual when they were testing it. They being, of course, the developers. So a lot of the testers missed completely that they had a debuff, so they added this die counting down over your head to indicate that something's going to happen. Which, of course, suggests that this might be the original invention of this die mechanic, or they added that, like, they just brought it from elsewhere. I can't remember if there's a lower level dungeon that hasn't been reworked so happen to include it, that has the die mechanic. I know Bells' Wall has it, but Bells' Wall is the final dungeon of Heavensward, so that is actually newer than this. And I just realized that that's design drop. Ow. Did you just say sloppy? Sloppy. Is it on me? No, it's not on me. Sloppy. Meow. Meow. Harley's has just seen a chart about the best farming methods for tomes, and Rival Wings is apparently 3 of the top 4 options depending on fast, average, or the lowest. Yeah, that is actually a good point. We talked about this briefly in the Discord community server. The reason why I didn't bring it up is because whether Rival Wings is actually good is completely... actually completely at the mercy of whether people are actually specifically queuing for it, because it's not part of a roulette. And then it's also PvP. But if people are queuing for it, it's frontline with the same, like, reward structure, so 10 tomes if you win, 6 if you don't, but an upper time limit of 15 minutes instead of 20. Which means that at worst, you're 1 minute slower than okay. And if it has an upper time limit of 15 minutes, then we can probably agree that, like, I have never done Rival Wings, just a disclaimer, but just under the assumption that the upper time limit is 15 minutes, it is, but based on that, we can probably assume that typically PvP matches aren't intended to end in a draw or, like, decide on time. Some matches probably don't go to 15 minutes. And if the average clear time is 10 minutes, then if you lose every match, like, you're still good. Like, you're still fine. As long as it's below 12 minutes, you're good. If you get a 5-minute match, you can get 96 tomes an hour. At the slowest is 30 tomes an hour. Yeah, exactly. 30 tomes an hour is, as I said, is the level where if you're getting that, you're fine. Like, if you can get 30 tomes an hour, you're doing pretty good. That's a good idea, Harley. Yeah, 30 tomes an hour. Anything that can safely and consistently give you 30 tomes an hour is considered good. At least as far as what I could find. So if you look, like, you don't need me to explain to you whether a specific piece of content is good or not. Necessarily. What all you need is, if you look at the content, like you look at Praetorium, for example, it gives 14, if I remember correctly. You just have to ask yourself, can I beat that in 28 minutes? If you can, then it's good. Like, it's okay. It's not, like, incredible. It's not, like, breaking new ground. But if you can beat it in 28 minutes, you're not, like, inefficient, at least. You're not, like, wasting time. Because the thing is, and we've talked about this on these streams before, is that a significant element to playing Final Fantasy XIV and having fun with it is, you know, to do content in a way that is fun. So if, for example, you don't actually like PvP, then doing Rival Wings, even if it is super efficient, is completely pointless, right? Because you're not going to enjoy it. Like, yeah, okay, you might be able to finish getting all of your Mogtomes that you'll ever need in half the time, but you're going to hate every minute of it. There's no point doing that. Whee! So that's why I spent some time at the start of the stream going over what options you have, like more casual options that don't require a huge amount of, like, planning or preparing. And if we can reach a point where people discover that Rival Wings is incredibly efficient for Mogtome farming, we might land in a situation where people are doing Rival Wings, like people are actually queuing for it. And if they are queuing for it, so that you don't need to, like, do it at a specific time where people are specifically planning to queue for it, you can just queue for it any time of the day and it'll pop, then it's good. We can talk a little bit about this time management thing once this Call of History boss is dead. Right, so... Oh, right, I don't even have that minion. I don't even have it. Incredible. I don't have the card either. Incredible. That should tell you how many times I've been here. Not much. But what I mean about time management is... So Harley says, if you can do rival wings in 5 minutes, that of course means you're getting... If you can win that match, like if you can do rival wings and win in 5 minutes, then you're getting 2 Mogtomes an hour, hypothetically. But... Okay, apparently I got 2 of the cards. Oops. But if Rival Wings is that effective, that's incredible. But let's say the queue time is 15 minutes. Stream alert. Oops. I hope you did. I don't hope. I really hope people didn't pass for me. But if the queue time for Rival Wings is 15 minutes and the match is really good if it takes 5, well, if it takes 5 minutes but you had to queue for 15, then your actual, like, time was 20 minutes, and that's okay. That's okay. As I said, that's average. That's okay, but only if you win. If you lose, that was actually terrible. So like that's why the queue time actually plays a factor as well. Thank you, Hoshi and Shade, for joining. Oh, Jelano's there. Yoop. Serimni says, as a new player, level 60ish, I do not look up every boss mechanic. Most dungeons are pretty easy. Is there a rule of thumb which content I have to prepare better for? Yes, there is. If it says Alliance Raid, you do not have to prepare for it. You don't have to look up mechanics or anything. If it says Normal Raid, you do not have to prepare for it. If it just says Dungeon, you don't have to prepare for it. Even if it says Hard, you still don't have to prepare for it. So hard dungeons, you don't have to prepare for that. If it is a trial and it says and it is listed under high-end trials, then there's 2 things that are suddenly different. The first one is I do not recommend queuing for this. Normally people queue for high-end trials by making a party beforehand in the party finder, putting together the group, and then joining together, you know, 8 like-minded players that are all prepared for this challenge. The second thing is you should probably look up a guide for this for such a fight before you go. On top of that, generally people don't do old extremes very much synced. They tend to do it unsynced, which means they'll just go in at level 90 and just trounce the boss in a few hits if they can. But if it says extreme, or the specific exception where it doesn't, for some reason, Minstrel's Ballad, Ultima's Bane, but otherwise if it says extreme, then you should prepare for it. Like, you should show up prepared. There's also Minstrel's Ballad here, so all these ones. And, like, that's like, if it says extreme or Minstrel's Ballad, blah blah, then you should prepare for it. In terms of raids, similarly, it'll say Savage Raids. You should prepare for those. And finally, Unreal, you can't do those yet, but when you can, you should prepare for those. And Ultimates, you should prepare for those, but if you can access an Ultimate, that generally suggests you have already done Savage Raiding, so by that point you should already be in the swing of things. But yeah, normal and hard content, you don't have to prepare. You can. No one's going to be mad at you if you prepare for it. Like, if you actually go, it's my first time, but I watched a guide, most people will be like, why? Like, why did you watch a guide? You don't have to. For normal and hard content. But for the most part, if you then perform better for it, they'll appreciate it. Like, no one's going to be mad at you for doing it, but you don't need to prepare for normal hard content. I hope that answers the question, Serimni. That is also true, Matthew says. Also, coils. Yeah, so specifically a Realm Reborn raid. So the Binding Coil, Second Coil, and Final Coil of Bahamut. And also the Savage version. All of these are similar to extreme trials in difficulty or harder. People tend to never do them synced in the same way, so don't bother with those. If you queue for a raid, like for example, you queue like I think if you're uncertain, in most cases, if you queue for one of these trials that are labeled as high-end trials and you're alone, if you queue for it, often it'll say that the wait time is more than 30 minutes. If that happens, then you've probably queued for something that you should prepare for and get a pre-made party for. Like if it says more than 30 minutes. There's also the possibility that you queued for something that people just don't queue for, but if it is in a roulette that isn't meant to roulette, then it should normally work. Yeah, so look for the extreme, and then there's the Coils of Bahamut, the Savage, and Minstrel's Ballad. That should be like your guideline for things you need to prepare for. Yeah, actually, Gambler, that is a really good idea. Euphrosyne should be on the okay-ish end for farming Mogtomes. And if you then, as a bonus, like, actually, if, like, on the subject of being hyper-efficient with your time, here's a little something for all the people that gear casually at max level. So Aglaia gives these coins, and Euphrosyne gives these coins. When the final bit of the Alliance Raid series that we have right now in Endwalker comes out, you will need one Aglaia coin, one Euphrosyne coin, and one whatever they choose to call it coin to exchange for an item you can use to upgrade one one weekly capped Tomestone gear piece. So, like to upgrade this Credendum circlet, for example. But you need one of each. And well, we know that 6.5 is probably coming early October, and we know that the next expansion is coming next summer. So at the very least, there's going to be 6 months of apparently Thalia. The thing is, I don't know what that means for anyone. I don't know what it means for anyone. Aglaia doesn't mean anything for me either. Like I've previously, just on the last stream, I praised the fact that many trials and content in Final Fantasy XIV, the specific encounter itself is called something completely meaningless. Like, who do you fight in the Striking Tree? Us that have done the fight know exactly who we are fighting, but if you don't want to spoil a sprout, if you call it the Striking Tree, or they randomly read that there's a trial in the game called the Striking Tree, that doesn't spoil anything. It's the 3 graces from Greek mythology. Well, fair enough. I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. But yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind that's getting spoiled for me. I don't mind. But yeah, point is that many of these encounters have basically meaningless names, so that helps a lot. And also, thank you, Serimni. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. Lemon says, there sure is a reason that coils aren't in normal raid roulette. Indeed. The Bevel says, I'm so sad I unlocked all of the extreme primals, but I can't do any of them. Yeah, my best advice, like actually, if you really want to experience many of the old extremes, I think there might be a way. It's not going to be what you hoped. But maybe. Maybe. I don't know if they actually ever appear here. Maybe as a weekly challenge? Maybe not. But blue mages often will have targets to do like old extremes synced as all blue mage groups, which gives motivation to do old content synced. The thing is that you're still not doing it correctly because you're doing it as a blue mage. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing, right? I feel like I was talking about something else before I suddenly got sidetracked with this. Right. So, you need one of each of these coins for each of those items. The final alliance raid will have, like, you will only get one coin per week. So that's just one. But with absolute certainty, we're probably expecting 6 to 8 months where this alliance raid is relevant. Like, relevant in the way that you can technically upgrade gear with the item that drops from it. And, well, in 8 months, you will see at least 32 weeks of that alliance raid. So if you do it every week, you're going to need 32 of these and 32 of these, and right now you get extra rewards for doing them. Right? Like that is a suggestion. If you like, this is another one of those where you can like double your efficiency. Is that you're probably like, if you're a casual like player that likes to gear up this way, then like queue for Aglaia and Euphrosyne. While the Mogtome event is happening, people are more motivated to do these because Mogtomes. It's generally just nice if you can do that. So that's a tip. And that is also true, as Angel says. Aglaia and Euphrosyne does not have a weekly limit. You can just farm those all day. You can just do them as much as you like. So you can like if you just like to queue for stuff for your Mogtomes, just add those two to the list, because it's good to get them done. Because like if you're going to get all those coins used, then you're going to need, well, at least 32 of each. That's a lot of runs. So that is a suggestion you could try. That is just like an extra thought, an extra suggestion. It's not necessarily the most effective way to farm Mogtomes, but the whole genius of grinding something you would have to grind anyway is that people are more motivated to do it, reduces the queue time, and you wanted to do both anyway. Like, that is actually the downside of doing something like first circle power spamming, is because, I mean 10 Tomestones of causality is it's fine. But the only thing you're getting is 3 Mogtomes. So if you can do something where you like get more value, that is better in every way. Right. So. Dunskate time. Or Dunskate. I don't know. Oh yeah. Exactly, Harley. That was also my observation, is that the thing is, the thing that makes those kinds of groups very, very annoying is that, so I'll switch job, don't you worry. The thing that makes the party finder groups very annoying for this kind of stuff is that we're talking like hyper efficiency here, right? Like super optimization. And that means if you spend 10 minutes setting up a P1N group, and then you get one run in, and then someone goes, I don't feel like it, or I have to go now, you see, my laundry, you know how it goes. Then you are back in the queue again, and you need those 10 minutes to make up. Like, you need to catch up because you spent time waiting for people. So if you spend, and 10 minutes might be a lower bound, like if it takes 10 minutes to get a group together of good players that can get those 3-minute clears where you get 1 Mogtome per minute. Someone who just sat down on their computer, queued for P1N, and just went for it. By the time you start, they've already done 1 run, almost 2. Oh, look. Another very pink person. But if you had, like, if when you start, you're already 10 minutes behind. The person that just queued immediately, they will get their first run in. Maybe that takes 6 minutes. Not unlikely. And then you have to get like a few runs in to catch up them. You need to do 2 runs to catch up to them. But before you've finished your first run, they will have completed 2. And by the time you've completed 3 runs, they will also have just about completed 3 runs. So if anyone starts randomly leaving, then it's going to eat into your efficiency in the exact same way. And you just don't have time for that. But like, if you're trying to optimize this, it becomes really awkward. And yes, I do realize that I'm really messing up this rotation right now. Exactly, Harley. Even with a balanced party of randoms above minimum item level, I was managing 4 to 5 minute kills. Yeah, there you go. That doesn't make it any better for the like hyper spam groups. Like that isn't helping, because that means that this lower bound or upper bound of 6 minutes is like less likely, and that eats even more into the value you're getting out of optimizing this. So it might actually be weirdly... Oh, so many people just getting killed. It might actually just be efficient enough to just queue. And this was actually what I observed in the previous Mogtome event. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We need as soon as. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We need as soon as. Those are not dealt with by healing. We need as soon as. Thank you. Wait, there's an ad. That was actually what I observed in the previous Mogtome event as well, is that, yes, spamming Fist of the Father just as is isn't the most effective. It was more effective to do it with Blue Mages. However, putting together the Blue Mage squad takes out a while, and you're saving like a minute per run. Like based on if you have a really efficient group, you're saving like a minute based on what randoms can actually muster. Not the randoms aren't always going to get 3 minutes, but they could actually do it in 3 to 4 minutes, whereas the Blue Mages could do it in 2 to 3 minutes, if I remember correctly. So it was just not really worth the hassle, was what I observed. Ugh. Nailed it! Zagnal finds, as I've been farming Praetorium non-stop for my tomes. I'm assuming you're finding stuff to do between, like, in the cutscenes. If you're not, then I would suggest doing Castrum Meridianum instead. Like, if you could only have access to the level 50 stuff. But Praetorium is okay. Like, as others have mentioned, reported, is that, I mean, you can do other stuff while doing Praetorium. Which makes it somewhat effective if you're not, like, only trying to optimize your Mogtome farm. Yeah, so if you're max level and you have access to something like P1, as you see, Harley says, you can just queue for P1 and you're still getting like a decent clear time. Like, it's not incredible, but it's okay. Like, it's not like as good as the Party Finder version, but as I said, the Party Finder version, you're typically not counting the time where you're just sitting there putting the group together. So like, there's a lot of unknown parts to it. Grandson duty this week. Oh, well, that... I mean, grandson duty is a great argument for doing Praetorium. I think this is actually something that I talked about in my... I'm pretty sure I talked about it. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in my Crystal Tower Roulette video a while back. That you can observe that it doesn't take that much to make people want to do the harder alliance raids over Crystal Tower. It doesn't take that much. You add Mogtomes to the reward list. Like, more Mogtomes, notably, and then people will start doing near raids. Like, they want to do them. It's the rewards that are the problem. So I'm pretty sure people don't really mind landing in a monastery, Harley. It's not like necessarily the most effective, but I'm pretty sure they don't mind getting that one. Thank you, Zach Nalfine. Thank you very much for telling me. I'm glad that your wife said that oh, wait a minute. Which one is this? That she found the Black Mage guide very helpful. Thank you. You're leveling other classes doing this as well? Yeah, just spamming Praetorium might not be super effective once you've gotten the daily out of the way, but if you can level jobs that are in the level range of like low 50s, like thereabouts, then it's actually decent. Then it's just like a decent like XP choice. And again, it's like it's bonus. If you're doing it for the Mogtomes, then anything you get on the side aside from that is just free. Alliance Raid Roulette is meme bunker. Uh-oh. Wow, that was lucky. I looked at that one just as its glare mechanic resolved. That was incredibly lucky. Isn't this the guy with the water fire platforms? I'm pretty sure this is the guy with the water fire platforms. Isn't it? I'm noticing a severe lack of water fire platforms. Water in the fire platforms. Oh. Oh. Jungler's X. I'm guessing that's it. Or not? There it is. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Phew! We were just about to mess that mechanic up, I could see. It's very smart. Just kill the boss before it can do lethal mechanic. It's the grandest master plan against dangerous boss mechanics. Just kill the boss, Lamau. That was really lucky. So, the water fire mechanic on the boss we just fought. What happens is that it puts down all of those like blue and red circles. If I remember correctly, the damage of the attack when it resolves is dependent on how like it's a combination of the orbs. And the thing is that you get a debuff that increases either water damage or fire damage taken. I think it's either. And that means that if you have the water damage up debuff, you need to change all of the circles. This is the saddest hypercharge. All of the circles to fire to avoid taking any water damage. And if you get the firing damage increase debuff, then you need to change them all to water. And the thing is, you change them by stepping in them. Which means that it's very easy for someone to accidentally switch them, especially if they don't understand the mechanic. So it's very common to wipe to that mechanic because people don't understand and just mess with it. But I think it isn't like I can't remember if it is like, oh, you have one circle that is the wrong color, so now you wipe. But I don't know how it scales, so I'm not entirely sure how suddenly you just wipe because of it. On a completely unrelated note, I'm not entirely sure what the lore explanation for us fighting Proto Ultima weapon is. Like, I'm not entirely sure how Proto Ultima came here. I think I also read somewhere that originally in Heavensward, Proto Ultima wasn't guaranteed. Like, when you entered this raid, there was a chance that that encounter was going to be there, or a different fight altogether, or something like that. I can't, like, it's just something that I happened upon. It might be fake. It used to be a succubus? I'm pretty sure I read that it would, like... Hardy says, there is an optional quest from Idleshire to get Proto Ultima plating, and if someone with that quest queued in, they would trigger Proto Ultima to get their fight. If no one had the quest, it was a different boss. Right. Okay. I thought it was random, but that is a really weird detail, honestly. George Joestar just walked up and dotted her. Like, I'm done waiting. He said in his shirtless kilt situation, just went, I'm pulling the boss. Look, she has brought her armies. She has armies. Seems like something a Joestar would do. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Kitsuneko, no one's making JoJo references. However, we have someone in the raid named... Oh, I had to stop moving for that. My bad. Oh boy. Right, when that mechanic happens, you just have to stand still. But look at me being a machinist just running for no reason. Why am I tanking? Ow. Yeah, someone's named George Joestar. Oh, I thought he had like a full kilt situation. He has a halo. Nice. Let's see, Harley says they changed it because people would witch hunt and call out players for having the quest active and changing the boss. So they just change it to always be the... Yeah, you know, that is not surprising. Also, thank you for the res. I can see how that would happen. So just to summarize that one, for those that didn't quite get that. So originally, the way Dunscaith worked was that fight where we fought Proto Ultima would be like a succubus that presumably was a significantly easier or shorter fight. But if someone had a specific, technically optional quest that was like a weekly quest, I believe, that gave you like a specific reward, it would be replaced with this Proto Ultima fight, which takes longer. So people would get mad about it if someone had the audacity to have the Ultima, the Ultima fight activating quest, because yeah, you know, God forbid that someone has a quest they need doing when there's time to be saved, right? So to resolve that problem, they just made it so that it's always ultimate weapon. Regardless of whether someone has the quest or not. So people would stop complaining. And you know, as I said, that sounds believable. Like, very, very expected. Just based on what you could expect MMO gamers to do. That people would get mad that someone had a quest that makes their raid longer. You know what I mean? I don't think I made it. Wait, I think I made it? Well, that does explain a lot. That is a very scary moment. If the boss was at like 10% HP, then the ad might be able to overwhelm the group before we could kill her. But she would be low enough that people might, like, give it a solid try. You know how, like, the final boss in Labyrinth of the Ancients, people will, like, try to skip the Ancient Flare if the boss is close enough. But maybe they actually can't. Like, if the boss is just at the right HP, they can't. And there we have him, Diabolos. From that fateful dungeon. Yeah, exactly, Phil. The ad enrages super fast. That's exactly what I mean, is that people might go, oh, well, it's just an ad. Surely we can ignore that. We have a few, like, we can probably kill the boss before it becomes a problem, right? Surely it'll be fine. And it was not fine. Uh-oh. I thought there was a glare, or was that a frontal and a glare? There's a lot of sleeps. Ruinous Omen. I thought that was a lot worse. I thought that would be a lot worse. Yeah, you pretty much just want to be sure that you never have him face the raid. Like, if there's some sort of a stack marker, the main tank just can't respond to it. If they respond to it, it might actually kill some people. Oh, here comes the cool part, right? the Dragon Ball situation. Well, Dragon Ball-esque situation. He's charging up his big ball of death, and we're holding it back with our own laser beam. Literal door boss. I just put Wildfire on the main portal. Is your internet dying, Angel? Watch this, giant pixel that is... trust me, the giant pixel on your screen is a laser beam, Angel. Like, just take my word for it. The giant pixel that it's next to is the orb we're holding back. His net isn't dying, his YouTube is. Oh. If I remember correctly, this boss hits, like, incredibly hard with just his auto attacks. Like, insanely hard with just autos. And he hits for a 4th, just with a smack like that. While he has Stone Skin, all of his auto attacks auto crit. Well, that would explain that. It is quite funny with that. They haven't really. It's a stack glare marker. For anyone confused. What that means... What that means is that you have to stack with a person and simultaneously not look at them. Uh-huh. I don't remember what to do about that door. Dodon says, do you ever play Ninja? Sometimes. Like, it's not exactly the job that I play the most, but I sometimes play it. Do you have a specific question about Ninja that you'd like me to answer? Like, I know how to play Ninja. I made a guide. So I can probably answer like questions about Ninja if there's something you're wondering about. Why did I get Doom? I wasn't looking at him. Well, I'm dying now, so it's fine. We have a boss on the loose. That looks painful. Oh, look, a stack marker. I think I'll stand in it. Oh, Earth Shakers. And a stack marker. I think I'll stand in it. And a stack marker. Dodon says, I've been learning Ninja new, but after the opening rotation it feels confusing on what abilities I should be using off the rip. Or saving for burst. Once we're out of this dungeon, I can talk a little bit about it. Dodon, are you level 90 or are you like leveling ninja? Like, because that might have a significant input on my advice. Might give me a better chance to help you. If I know like, what level you're working with. Level 64 with the Ninki gauge. Okay. Right, so what Phil said, saying you pretty much always save things for burst minus Bunshin, so you shouldn't have Bunshin yet. But I'll get to that. I'll keep in mind that you're level 64. It's not going to change that much. It'll change a bit. My level 51 to 90 ninja guide, I should go over the rotation and openers and stuff like that, like the general idea, gradually. So if you like, you can watch level 1 to 50 video first if you want, and then you can watch level 51 to 90 video up to the point where you're at. It might help you to get like a little bit extra overview if you also take the level 70 summary. But you could do that if you specifically want advice that is viable for you, that doesn't necessarily focus on level 90. You could do that. But first, once people are done rolling, although I don't really care about that dark matter. That dark matter doesn't matter for me. Ninja. Right, so the opener it requires you, so I can't remember precisely the sequence that is perfectly optimal, but the general idea is that you want to do Hooten Hide, and then you want to prepare Suiton, and then cast that, then you can use Trick Attack and Mug. Like that is like, and then you like go through your cooldowns, right? You use everything. I can find the opener if it's like crucially significant. But your question was, I don't know what to do after the opener. So the things that you want to save for the burst is you want to use Kasatsu every minute. You want to spend the Kasatsu while Trick Attack is up. But that of course means that every second Kasatsu should be used while Mug is up. You have Ninki. So what you can do, you can stockpile some Ninki to like fit 1, maybe 2 Health Rock mediums during your burst, like while Trick Attack is up. The difference on a single target between doing that and not doing that is like 16 to 32 potency. It's not like a massive thing. So if you feel that it's very difficult to keep track of both managing like your Ninki without overcapping, and also stockpiling for your bursts, you can just not do that. At higher level, you will actually generate a massive amount of Ninki, so it's not going to be like, again, it is going to matter. It's going to be better to stockpile than not stockpile, but the potency difference is not massive, so like you don't have to master that immediately. But you want to use Kasatsu with Trick Attack every minute, and you want to use Mug every 2 minutes. Generally, I believe. Let me just find my notes on the subject. That's probably going to make it a little bit easier. Yeah, I would imagine that using Mug first, then Trick Attack is typically better, because Mug lasts slightly longer than Trick Attack. So you want to make sure that your burst is within the 15 seconds where Trick Attack lasts. If Mug is like surrounding that. So like you have Mog, Trick Attack, and then Trick Attack ends, and then Mog ends. And you just have to make sure that your burst is within Trick Attack to maximize your damage. You should have Dream Within a Dream. That should also be used during Trick Attack. So, Kasatsu, Dream Within a Dream. And then there's the Hellfrog Medium thing. The thing you need to save for your burst is actually your ninjutsus. So, the weird thing with that is... now, I might not be able to do this opener specifically that well. Just to, like, get the general gist of it, I'm not going to do, like, a proper opener, but to demonstrate what I'm talking about, I'll try a little bit. I messed that up. Sorry. I didn't mean to actually cast Suiton there. I do the weaving thing with the Dream Within a Dream. Yeah, you should always weave abilities. The exception is you cannot weave your jutsus. Let me just get this properly. Like so. And you can do, like, if you have the resource, you can use Hellfrog Medium. Now, that wasn't actually what I wanted to talk about with this demonstration. So, what is important is you can see, in a moment, I'll have an ninjutsu. We're not going to be using that. We're just going to be sitting on it. Now, you might be wondering, so when do we use it? Not yet. So what I'm looking at is the Trick Attack cooldown. Now I could use an ninjutsu if I want to. I'll wait a bit. Now I'll use it. I'll use Suiton. Now I can cast Trick Attack when it's ready. I have 20 seconds to work with. And the instant that Trick Attack is available, I just use it. I can even use Kasatsu here. So you Trick Attack. Right on. Dream Within a Dream. Right on again. Hellfrog Medium. And then right on again. And now we're back to waiting game. So the thing that I'm trying to convey here is the thing you need to save is your ninjutsus. Basically everything else, if you do your opener correctly, then everything else will come off cooldown when you need to use it. Like, typically, if nothing goes wrong, you just click it when it's available. The only thing that is a little janky is the ninjutsus, because you need to use Suiton a little early. Like, just a little early, so that Suiton is already up and running, so that you can Trick Attack on cooldown. But that is the only thing. Everything else, you just sit on for the burst. And someone mentioned that you actually get 3 right-ons. That is correct. I also forgot to actually use Kasatsu there, but this is a demonstration. Right. Thank you, Cal. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this helps a little bit, Dodon. But yeah, basically, if you know how to do your opener right, then you do that. Using Armor Crush on the buffs. Yeah, it's a demonstration. I forgot to refresh it before buffs, so I used Armor Crush. Fun fact, if and this is a little extra optimization, if you don't have True North, because you spend it on something, and you cannot reach the back of the enemy, Armor Crush is actually, but you can reach the flank, then Armor Crush is actually a DPS gain. You typically should have True North. Like, there's, like, you get so many of them that you should probably have True North, but it's just a detail. But yeah, the key thing is, if you do your burst, like your opener correctly, and nothing weird comes in and messes with that, then all of your cooldowns should just naturally line up. for your burst again. The only thing that is a little weird is that you want to save maybe some Ninki, and you want to save ninjutsus. You only want to spend a ninjutsu for Suiton when the cooldown on trick attack is less than 20 seconds. And the reason for this is because Suiton gives you the buff that allows you to use trick attack for 20 seconds. And yes, as Harley says, you can use Kasatsu once you've cast Suiton. So like if you at 8, so the thing is, you have to use trick attack before Suiton runs out. So if you're confident that you will be able to weave trick attack properly, if you like use Suiton when there's an 18-second cooldown on trick attack, you can do that, and that means that you can like use Kasatsu when like exactly, so you have to use it exactly on time. You just keep in mind that Kasatsu only lasts 15 seconds, so that is also something worth keeping in mind. But yeah, you can use Kasatsu anytime you like once Suiton has been spent, because you just need to make sure that you're not wasting Kasatsu on Suiton. That's it. It was helpful. Right, so we managed to do Weeping City of Ma and Dunscaith. I'm thinking that we're doing something a little less intense for some more farming areas. As you may have noticed, we haven't collected that many Mogtomes. We've collected 24 on the stream. It's not a lot. As I started with, in 3 hours, you could feasibly have 180, so not very effective. But we had fun, and people learned stuff. Yeah, good to hear that you found it helpful, Dodon. These dang MMOs are confusing. It's complicated because if you compare Final Fantasy XIV to World of Warcraft, I'll use World of Warcraft because World of Warcraft is an MMO I've played a lot. In World of Warcraft, most specializations, so like subclasses, so to speak, have some sort of optimized opener, but those openers aren't that set in stone because you have a huge amount of customization. So like the openers can be like, do this if you have made these choices, do that if you've made these choices, do this thing if you have this trinket, do this if you have this other thing. So it's very like wavy what the optimal choice is, because the optimal like choices can matter on a fight to fight basis. But once the opener is out, a lot of things in World of Warcraft is just clicking on cooldown, and why that is different in World of Warcraft is because the cooldowns will line up very differently. So it's not like in Final Fantasy XIV, where it's, well, all of the things are going to be ready every minute or every other minute. So it becomes, in Final Fantasy XIV, it becomes a super strict dance, almost, where you just have to remember what to press. Some jobs, like Ninja, have like big spaces of nothing in between their bursts. Like Ninja literally just has 1, 2, 3 combos and waiting for when it's time to use Suiton. But if you knew what your skill speed was for a specific fight, like if you knew what your skill speed was for a specific fight, so you know exactly what your GCD is going to be, and you were to practice it, you would be able to lay out from start to finish, like to the boss dying, exactly what you're going to do at every single step, because Ninja has no randomness. So yeah, you would be able to write out, and then after my opener, I do 4 1, 2, 3 combos, and then I use Suiton or something like that. Like, you would be able to do that. You wouldn't be able to do that with Dancer necessarily, or you wouldn't be able to do that in World of Warcraft, for example. Quite interesting. So each MMO is very different. Fel says, cheat code, only the last motor you press matters. Correct. Let's see, I should have a little spreadsheet on this. I don't have it highlight that fact that much, but it should be relatively clear from the picture. So you can see here we have the 2 jutsu ones, and here we have the 3 jutsu ones. They're a little different in layout, but you should get the idea. You can see here We have Chi 10 Katon, Jin 10 Katon, so 10 gives Katon, 10 Chi Raiton, Jin Chi Raiton, and then you have 10 Jin Hyoton, Chi Jin Hyoton, and then for the 3 steps you can see that 10 gives Futon, Chi gives Doton, and Jin gives Suiton. And another way to think about it is that water and ice ends on Jin. AoE, so area of effect. No, that doesn't work. Doton and Raiton. I mean, fire and air has a lot in common, I suppose. That's 10. And then you have Raiton and Doton that are just, I don't know, earth and sky, right? Which actually makes perfect sense, because one of the ways to cast Raiton is to use 10 Chi, which is the gestures for heaven and earth. So that's pretty clever. It just doesn't work that much, because you can also do Raiton with man and earth. But the really neat trick about that, I think I outlined this a little better for 10 Chi Jin, I believe. Right, the 10 Chi Jin chart. Here it is. The only combinations you actually need to know are these and how to do Futon. The reason for that is that Futon is Jin Chi 10. Do that at the start of a fight. Then you don't have to do it again for the rest of the fight, usually. For a single target, you always want to do 10 Chi Jin. Like, either you want to do Raiton or Suiton on single target. Nothing else. On AoE, you typically want to do Jin 10 Chi because you want both Katon and Doton. And all other combinations are bad. Like, all other combinations are bad, because either they result in you getting Suiton and Katon, which in any situation where you want Katon, you want Doton. And you never want Futon from Tenjin, ever. So those two are just out of the bag. And Hyoton, you basically never want either. So that removes all of these. The only one that is like a maybe is Chi 10 Jin, because if you already put down Doton, like if you already put it down by accident or planning issues, then it is better to do this than just to drop Doton again. Like, then it's better to get the Suiton than nothing. But it's more like a fail-safe option, like a backup solution if you messed up earlier, right? You can pretend Hyosho's ice. Isn't Hyosho Ranryu is ice? It does ice damage. Ninja, actually, I can't remember who calculated it, but I think we got on a stream that Ninja does like over 50% magic damage or something like that. It's insane. Laggy Ninja is something else. I think it was in 6.1 there was this glitch that made Ninja almost unplayable, because it had like a huge issue with that made Ninja just feel laggy regardless of your connection. Angel says me, tries to limit break everyone else and their mom, stays on me and drops AoEs under me. And then they move. Also, hey James, I hope you're doing well. You don't have to make sure to retain all of this ninja information. Fortunately, most of this stuff I outline in my ninja guides. So remember, for anyone that is interested and doesn't know, if you write my channel name on YouTube, maybe even on Google, followed by any job, typically what should appear is a level 1 to 50 guide and a level 51 to 90 guide. Specifically look for the ones that don't have like a green background. The ones with the green background are also guides from me. They're also correct, but they're outdated. So make sure to get the ones that... well, here's a little behind the scenes. All of the level 1 to 90 job guide thumbnails are pictures in Bottom's metal. Yeah, if you can see the blue sky or Bottom's metal floor, it's probably the one. Yeah, do that. You can also, if you just want the really quick demonstration, like if you don't actually know if you want to play the job, you can watch the 1 minute short on the subject. And just see how it looks, if you like. Ninjas in PvP is killer. Yeah, ninja in PvP is very fun. The thing that I find extremely funny about ninja and red mage in PvP is that red mage is more like a melee job in PvP, while ninja is more like a ranged job. Like, you only go in for the kill with ninja. Like, so much of your damage is just ranged. And Fel says, a ninja at least isn't crazy OP in frontline anymore. What do you mean? Is it wrong to say? I'm pretty sure ninja has been nerfed. Like, since the remake, like the rework of PvP, I'm pretty sure ninja and white mage has been nerfed in every single PvP patch. Every single one. And the reason for that, primarily with ninja, has been Saiton Tenshu or Shukuchi, because invisibility is kind of OP in a way. And for white mage, it's just Miracle of Nature. Miracle of Nature is just... it used to be 25 yalms, everyone. Like, that white mage could just stand over in Narnia and just go, you... And then you just get crowd controlled with no countermeasure other than having guarded prematurely. It's really, really, really rough. Thank you, Zach Nalfine. I do think if you want to get into PvP, like, just go to Wolf's Den Pier. Choose a job you think looks kind of like that you kind of enjoy. Remember, the jobs are going to feel almost like a completely different job in PvP. Some of them will be similar, but a lot of them are very different in PvP. So just because you're a summoner main doesn't mean that you have to be a summoner main in PvP. So like, shop around a bit, see what you like, see what you don't like. For example, Dark Knights actually use their HP to attack in PvP. So that might be enjoyable. Like, look around, see what options you have. And then, very low risk, not dangerous, queue for frontline. Just go ahead. The worst that can happen is you lose. The worst that can happen is that you lose terribly hard, but for the most part, people don't get that angry about it if they lose. The reward for losing isn't that much worse than the reward for winning. I think that tends to be the reason why. You occasionally get the toxic player, but here's the thing. If they actually get too toxic, what you do is you write down their name, write down what they said, do this, 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 and this. File report. And if you can't find this, you can also just go to contact us and click this. It is not okay to be toxic in frontline. So just keep that in mind. Don't let people walk over you just because it's PvP. It's not allowed. But yeah, it's entirely optional. You don't have to do PvP. It's just to say, if you've looked at PvP and thought, yeah, I could do PvP. I could try that. Super low risk. Do frontline. Just one. It's a daily. You get massive rewards for just doing the one. Just one. Takes less than 20 minutes, at most 20 minutes, and you're done. And every day it's going to be a different one. It just switches between these 3 for now. But every day it's going to be a little different. You can try a little bit. Let's try different stuff. Like, not scary, doesn't bite. So if you think it looks fun, go for it. that is true, Gambler. It's quite funny that some of the jobs have like stuff that they used to have. Or similar. It's also, speaking of which, Harley, it's quite funny. I know precisely what Dragoon is supposed to be doing in PvP, but for some reason I just can't do it. I just can't play Dragoon well in PvP. I just can't do it. I just can't. I also know exactly what Dark Knight is supposed to do, but I'm not very good at playing Dark Knight or Warrior. I'm better at Paladin and Gunbreaker in PvP. So, and just to be clear, I view myself as a Warrior main, and I have no idea how to play Warrior in PvP well. I play different jobs in PvP. So that is just to say, don't think that you have to like restrict yourself to your main. Shout out to the level 26 Culinarian. I wish him good luck on leveling. Yeah, you can do it, Orion. That's also another thing, speaking of what Orion said. I should try something non-ranged in PvP. So, this isn't something that is very clearly marked in PvP, but in Frontline, things work a little different than in Crystalline Conflict. So the way PvP works is that it is balanced around Crystalline Conflict. So to fix that or remedy that, jobs have hidden benefits, like secret benefits, in Frontline. Notably, all melee jobs take 50% less damage taken. Like, they just take 50% less damage across the board. All ranged jobs take 25% less damage. With Red Mage and Dancer uniquely taking 35% less damage because they're like almost a melee job, given their attack range and stuff. So if you go into Frontline and you're wondering how those melee jobs just tank through all that damage, it's because everything is just cut in half. So, if you're scared of going into the fray as a melee job, on one hand, I understand it. If 8 people are just throwing everything they have on you, you're probably dead. But you can take on a ranged job. They will probably lose if it's a 1v1, unless they can like run away from you effectively. But yeah, a lot of jobs are very different. In PvP, Black Mage is very interesting, very hard to pilot in a way, because like the ice magic can stun very regularly, but the fire magic can apply a very evil, very mean dot to people. But the thing is that you have to figure out when is best to do what. And Phil also said, if you play Frontline, check your map often. Good tip. At the very least, check the chat and check the map. Just every now and then. Phil. Press Whirlwind Thrust, question marks, win. Yeah, the thing is that often people don't die from the Whirlwind Thrust, and then I'm just kind of standing there. I mean, we're 5, but if we were 4, we could go in Frontline. So if there's anyone that doesn't want to do a PvP match, then we could go like slim down to 4 players and do Frontline just as a little showcase. That is technically also a Mogtome farming option. Looks like you're cooking, so You're cooking because I'm talking. Fair enough. Well, that solves that. Did I add? I don't think I did. One day, I'll have to clean out this friend list. This friend list of people that I've had, like, I have never deleted a friend from my friend list, by the way. This was the first person I added to my friends list. They're still there. You used to be in LV as well? That was my first FC. Wait, what? Seal Rock. There's also the motivation regarding those that want to level jobs is that the frontline daily gives quite a lot of XP. And the job that gets the XP reward for the daily is the job you queue as. But when you're in the frontline, you can just change job. Like, you can just... like, if I wanted XP for Gunbreaker, hypothetically, I'd queue as Gunbreaker, enter, and then change to a different job. I don't recommend changing jobs a lot while you're on the front line, because there's some things you lose, or things that reset when you switch job. So you should typically, like, figure a job to start as. If, like, you immediately get bonked and you change your mind at the very start, then it might not be so bad. But generally, stick to the job you start as, so you don't lose those things. I believe the things that you lose when you switch job is your limit break resets and your battle high resets. And the battle high is like when you get kills and assists, you get like this bar that fills up, and for every 20 points in it, you just do 10% more damage and healing. So you really want to stick to that. When did you play PvP last, James? Actually, a funny story with LV, Phil. When I joined, it was called LOTV. But then they changed it to LV. But it was actually originally LOTV. Exactly, Legacy of the Void. It's pretty funny, their well, at least when I was in it, their workshop airships and stuff were like named after Protoss ships, if I remember correctly. Yet I never saw them construct any pylons. My wife for hire! Left in early 2019. I might have been in the FC, but there's a good chance that I was just... I was one of the people that were just never online. Because I came back to the game just before Shadowbringers. So I was probably one of the grayed out names, depending on when you joined and when you left. Half a year ago. Well, then, I mean, that was after the rework. It was more like if you started on... If you tried PvP before the rework, which is, you know... Like, if you had tried it 2 years ago, then things would have changed significantly. Always find this this front line awkward when you start in the cave, because yellow and red are well north and east, so to speak, starting points have gotten this tendency to just run to here and just duke it out. And they rarely go here, so it's very hard to get battle high. I want a personal marking option in these raids. Like this? Or do you mean like to mark others with? Because you have one personal marker. Only one though. Oh, that's quite a few. I don't think we're winning that exchange. This is also a very dangerous option because we can easily get flanked. Uh-oh. How was that an assist? Come back here! Well, that was what we called overextending. I really thought I could get the Dragoon though. I almost had them. Almost. Apparently we're winning. A little bit. Oh, he's invulnerable. Oh. Very conveniently close by. We'll have to fight some reds for it looks like. There's so many paladins in this match. That's insane. I'm not sure why Castle Crasher ran with me. I don't think I can save them. Hitsuneko says, I wonder if it would let me join frontline and gather a job. No, it would tell you that you're a non-combat job and you have to switch to a combat job. It will not let you join as a class either. It has to be a job. Uh-oh. The overextending again. It's been a while since I did a lot of PvP because I reached series level 25, so I just stopped doing it every day. But it's me overextending. I know better than that. So sorry about that. Oh, do you mean if it would let you switch to a gatherer job while in PvP? I don't think you can. Like, I'm pretty sure it will prevent you from griefing in that way. I'm pretty sure. That is a very difficult position to push into. But they're also getting pushed by yellow, so that's pretty good. Ow! Ow! I think that's a bait. Yep. 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 Here comes the whoopsie. So the whoopsie is the samurai limit break requires you to hit the samurai first while it is doing something specific. So it's pretty obvious when the samurai is baiting it, and that samurai was baiting it. Like, they were very clearly asking for it. Why are we fighting here? That's the classic in frontline when the node that you're fighting over ends. So you're just kind of standing in the middle of nowhere, like, wait, what? Why are we fighting here? Like, what are we fighting over? Just nothing. Just hanging out. I was trying to figure out whether they were baiting. Because it only takes one wrong move, and then the samurai can just turn the tables on you in that specific situation. Here they come! And red is below us. This is not safe. This is what we call not good. I think the safest we can do is just run, try and escape, because we're getting pushed to the beach. Yup. They didn't realize that I also hit them, apparently. Yeah, exactly, Phil. There was no like, we had to run way earlier to get out of that. But we can much more easily defend what we have now, and we're in first place by a significant margin. So the other teams are incentivized to attack us, specifically to either take our spawn, like take our points, or to kill us so that we lose points to them, so that we don't win early. But if they come to us unprepared, they might just speed us to victory. But we're very, very close to winning. Yoink. Oh, there we go. That was absolutely not my best performance. But we won. Which means 10 Mogtomes. Right. So I hope that was, as James said, I do like the chaos of frontline, I'll say that. I think I just wasn't aware of what I was doing. That's normal. The thing is that you can sit and look at the toolkit, like the PvP toolkit of a job, and think you know what you're supposed to be doing with it. But the only way to learn it is to actually try it. Like, it took me a bit with Gunbreaker to realize when to do what. For the most of that match, I wasn't exactly being super impressive with my performance, but sometimes Gunbreaker can be one of the scariest jobs on the field, if you know what you're doing, and you're not distracting yourself trying to chase down individuals. Gunbreaker has some of the biggest burst potential just from nothing. Just as an example. But the thing is that if you just pick up Gunbreaker knowing what I just told you, you might not know how to do that or what to do with that. So like the best way to figure out how to play a job is to just try it in PvP, because it's very different from PvE. Someone can tell you, like, Ninja has, like, in PvP, there are, like, burst combos that you can perform that are, like, several steps. But those are more helpful in crystalline conflict, because the thing with PvP is that, so you might see that Spinning Edge does 3000 potency and say, wow, that's a lot. Normally it's like 200. But the way that it works in PvP is that the attacks do exactly what they say they do. An attack with a potency of 3000 does 3000 damage in crystalline conflict. Like, just flat out 3000 damage. Unless there's like damage reduction or something. But otherwise it'll do exactly what it says on the tin. In frontline, because everyone has these passive damage reduction effects, if you take like a wombo combo from Ninja where they're like, yeah, that does exactly 60,000 damage, so you can just wombo combo anyone to death. If they let you do it, they'll die. Yeah, but in frontline, one, that's not happening. Someone's going to stop you probably. And two, the attack is not going to do the same amount of damage. So you will have to figure out what works in frontline. And even if you know the wombo combo in crystalline conflict, knowing what is best to do on the fly can be very helpful. Like, I'm just saying, if you know a wombo combo to kill one person, but every one of the enemies are stacked up tight for Gokamekyaku, that's going to do way more damage and might put the entire, like, group on the back foot. Shell says Monk can do 48,000 damage in 2 GCDs and you can't do anything about it other than guarding. Is it 48,000? Yeah, that's true. It's actually more, I think. So the way that that works, the way that that combo works, just to like spell that out, is that Monk has this attack called Enlightenment, does 8,000 damage, and makes it so that your next weapon skill or your limit break does 8,000 more. Your limit break does 12,000 damage and just breaks the person's guard if they were guarding. If they are not guarding, then you just do an additional 12,000 damage. And then you do 8,000 more if Enlightenment was up. So you just use Enlightenment, yeet the person over into a corner, and if you can stun them with 6-sided star, so you do 6-sided star, 4,000, Enlightenment, 8,000, so you're 12,000. Meteor Drive, 24,000 plus 8,000. Is that, let's see, 12, 30, so that's 44,000. But the reason why I said more than that is because Rising Phoenix here makes your next weapon skill do 50% more damage. Doesn't count Meteor Drive, but Phantom Rush here deals 12,000. So that is 18,000. So if you just see a monk in Crystalline Conflict just beating away at someone, if you suddenly see them do the Rising Phoenix, you know, the big fiery explosion, then it means 18,000 damage is flying in someone's face in short order. And the way that might go down is Rising Phoenix on someone, and then they like run menacingly towards you, the Black Mage, maybe. And then they will do Phantom Rush, Weave 6-sided star, Enlightenment, knocking you into a corner, and then Meteor Drive. And that goes 18, 22, 30, 62. And you're dead. In fact, anything is dead. I think this... Is it Warrior that has 63,000 HP? Oh, Lemon, can you send it to me like a slice? Lysel says, I've been enjoying your content this past month. Can't wait to see more. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And much love to you too. What is a hot? That is a heal over time effect in case you're serious. Thank you, Lemon. Gambler says, what do you do with Junctioned Cast? So Junctioned Cast is like a filler button. I think it's easier to explain by just going to the PvP area. So you can see on my hotbars I have Junctioned Cast and Draw and Junction. So the way Draw and Junction works is if you use it on an enemy, it will give you Powder Barrel and then also give you a specific type of junction depending on what you use it on. If you use it on a friend or yourself, then it does the same, but it does not give you Powder Barrel. Powder Barrel basically enables Burst Strike. And normally you get Powder Barrel from doing Solid Barrel. So it's just 1, 2, 3 combo, then you get a cartridge. That's how it works. And then Gnashing Fang does not, and Double Down does not require a cartridge here. That's how that works. But Junctioned Cast turns into either Blasting Zone, Aurora, or Nebula, depending on what you use it on. So like, if I use it on Phil here, I get Blasting Zone. So I can use that. So it just changes into an action that helps you do the role that you junctioned. So it means that Gunbreaker can turn into like more of a DPS by junctioning a DPS, and they can turn more tanky by junctioning a tank, and they can turn into like a little bit of a healer if they junction a healer. The way that works is that Blasting Zone, for example, just does damage and ability, like 10,000 extra damage every 20 seconds is pretty good. And then the follow-up attacks, so the continuation buttons, so that is, you know, Jocular Rip, Wicked Talon, and Savage Claw. No, that's not right. Jocular Rip, Abdomen Tear, and Eye Gouge gets an extra effect depending on which junction you have. So, for example, and also Hypervelocity does that too. And Hypervelocity, by the way, is just as good as Eye Gouge. So it's actually the final step that you get when you do Burst Strike. you get either a 4,000 HP shield, you heal everyone in your party for 2,000, or you do 3,000 more damage. And that then increases by 1,000 for each extra step that you go through. It's like 4, 5, 6,000 shield, 2, 3, 4,000 healing, or 3, 4, 5,000 damage. So it's like, it just makes you really good at doing that thing. The Bible says, can you play Dragoon in the next one? It's the melee job I currently main, but I can't open Final Fantasy XIV at the moment. Oh. I think we're not... I don't think we're doing more content on this stream. We're just, like, rounding up. We did a little bit of content. Had a lot of talk. Learned a bunch of things. However, the Bevel, on the channel, I have a stream VOD called... it's called... Let me just see if I can find the specific one. Can I not find it? Final Fantasy XIV Dragoon only hangout stream. It's the Oops All X stream series. So there I only play Dragoon for the entire stream. And do dailies, of course. So if you want to fill the void, that's an option when this stream rounds up, I suppose. Yeah, Oops All Melee. Maybe one day. We've had Oops All Tank. We also discovered on Oops All Healer that apparently healers can absolutely do content with no tanks and no DPS. It just takes a long time. Like, a long time. Like, you do Expert Roulette as 4 healers, you're not going to wipe, but it's going to take 20 minutes. Someone asked in-game how to samurai in PvP. So let me just go over that a little bit. It's not simple, and I don't have all the answers either. I'm not great at samurai, but there's like combos in your toolkit. Notable combos is if you need to root someone, then the first step of your combo turns into a root after your dash. So if you want to stop someone from escaping, you do Hisatsu Sultan, Hyosetsu. So just bam bam, and you can bind them. That can be helpful, especially if you want to use Oginami Kiri, because that has a cast time, so you can do whoop, whoop. And then you might be able to actually get the cast before they leave. Another trick with that, by the way, is that, now I have to wait for the cooldown, but Oginami Kiri stays available for an eternity if you cast it. So you can just, like, do this. Whoop. I don't know if it actually stays active if you combo anything, I don't think so. Nope. But if you just, like, if you just barely can do the Oginami Kiri on someone, then you can just run over to someone else and just Kaishinami Kiri those guys, and they're probably not going to expect it, because normally they expect you to have the cast first. A similar thing is that if you need something to go through, Make Your Shisui is basically an alternative to Purify. It's actually the inverse of Purify in a way, because Purify removes most debuffs. Make Your Shisui prevents most debuffs. So if you know I'm going to do something and I need people to not stop me, you can press Make Your Shisui. Like, just in advance. Just, oh, I need to do this thing, so I need this 3-second immunity. So a particular combo with that is that, for example, if you want to bind someone, and you want to make sure you can get to do that, you as you run to the target, you do this, dash in, find them, and you can stun them, and then you can do Oginamikiri. And if they're staying, you can do that too. Another particular thing, and Phil also mentioned this in the chat, is he says Chitin does a handful of things. So it lasts 5 seconds, it's just an ability, so you can just use it. It has 20% uptime if you want it. Reduces all damage taken by 25%. So you just use that when you're engaging enemies. And the thing is, in frontline, the enemies can't see whether you have limit break or not. And that's important, because people that hit you with anything, there's one exception, one key exception. People that hit you get counter-attacked for 2000 potency. Is nearly nothing, it doesn't really matter. But those that get counter-attacked get a debuff for 4 seconds that make you do 25% more damage to them. And also it makes your limit break one-shot them. So there's that. So the reason why that's significant in frontline is because as the enemies can't actually see whether you have the limit break or not, every time you click Chitin, they have to assume you do, unless they just saw you use it. So if you you can actually go an entire frontline match and never use your limit break, and that could actually be a good thing. Because if you never let anyone see you use limit break, then everyone knows that you have it. So every time you use Chitin, it might as well be hollowed ground. You might as well become completely impervious to damage. So there's this mind games trick. And just to add to this trick, if you can bait it, there are a few different ways to bait people into hitting you if you want to use your limit break. The first trick is, just go up to someone and just fight them so that they have to fight back, or at least try to. And then as they're fighting you, you just cheeky Chitin in the middle of combat, and if they happen to continue attacking, then they lose. That is the safer way to trick it, because you're not actually baiting them, you're just playing normally, and incidentally they sprung the trap. If you're acting like you're not baiting them, that is the best way to bait them. If you make it look like you're not going to use it, then people feel safer attacking you. But that can sometimes lead to entire matches where you never get to use limit break because a good opportunity doesn't really arise. The alternative, if you're engaging enemies and you know that the only option you have is limit break, what you can do is you do Chitin guard. Like so. Maybe they don't notice that you use Chitin as well. If you do this, you will have guard up to protect you from the massive amount of damage you're going to take, and probably all of the crowd control. And once guard ends, my best suggestion is make your Shisui right after, because someone is going to time crowd control. They will see that they got the Gozushi debuff, and their only option is to either run from you or root you or stun you, prevent you from using your limit break. And the best way to stop them from doing that is to weave make your Shisui on your first opportunity, so that the crowd control that is aimed at you will fail. Also, you can cancel guard with Chitin if people are waiting for it. That is also true. You can do this, and then this. Thank you for watching, Dodon. Enjoy Ninja. And enjoy the last mission of Heavensward. But yeah, basically, you can Chitin out of guard. You can make your Shisui out of guard. And if you use Chitin before guard and someone hit you so that you have a target to limit break, I would say if you're baiting and it works, optimally you do this, and then limit break the person. And you have to make sure you target the person before you click make your Shisui. So you use the guard to buy you time to find your target, and then you do make your Shisui, limit break. And the reason why you have to do make your Shisui limit break is because everyone saw it. They're going to CC, like they're going to crowd control you. It is going to happen, you know that. So your only option to not die for nothing, because you're probably dead after your limit break if you don't kill enough people, but that is like the combo. The problem is that this is very obvious. This is very obvious. While this might be obvious, if you do that, they're dead. Like, they already messed up. But the point is that the chitin bait is obvious. So you need someone to fall for it. Phil says you can play mind games by sometimes cancelling guard with chitin, but sometimes not. Generally, just not playing in a predictable way is the way to play Samurai. That is why I said that the best way to bait someone to get killed by your limit break is to act like you're not baiting them. Also, just one thing, I barely mentioned this, but Minauchi, that actually deals damage through stuns. Not through stuns, through guard. Which means that you can deal some HP through guard. The thing is that it doesn't stun if they're guarding. Just keep that in mind. Like, that is like the exchange is that you can do 10% of the person's current HP through guard. There's not a lot of attacks that do that. So that's why it's relevant to highlight. Not a lot of attacks do damage through guard. Zantetsuken is another one. And Drill is another one. Like, that's 3. So if you have a machinist who's trying to kill someone with Drill and they just need a little bit more damage to do it, you can just Minauchi. 10%. Yeah, that's true, Phil. If you're canceling guard with chitin, what's probably going to happen is you get stunned. Like, immediately after. So the problem is that you can't weave both. But yeah, I went over some examples of what you can do, Orion. The problem is that because PvP is PvP, and that's just how the game works. I could teach you all the cool wombo combos, but the thing is, you just need to practice and just feel it out in the moment and see what you can do. Like, the particular thing that is important to keep in mind is that Chi-10 is the mind games button. And if you haven't played Samurai much, just know that everyone in Frontline has played against a Samurai. They will not be surprised. Like, they know it's coming. So that's why it's very important to go over that. And a final thing, 2 final things, is that Oginamikiri has 2 effects. And you might need to position yourself depending on what you need. It does more damage if you're facing such that only one person gets hit, but it actually shields you if you hit multiple enemies. So, like, make sure you do that if you need the shield, because the shield is pretty big. And the original question was, I believe, was I'm not sure what to do with Hisat's Sultan. The confusing part is that it does 3 completely different things depending on which combo step you use it with. In my experience, the most helpful one is Hyusetsu, because you have multiple ways to do a lot of damage. And while you don't have a lot of ways to heal a lot, and Oka is your best option to heal more, it's okay if you're running, but a bind is also pretty good if you're running, so I mean... yeah, exactly. Hyusetsu is bind, Mangetsu is damage, and Oka is healing. I don't think it got buffed. I'm pretty sure it has always been 8k, because I'm pretty sure it has always been double damage on Gecko. Because, you see, Yukikaze is just same damage AoE. Kasha becomes just AoE healing, but Mangetsu is just double damage. Like, if you need to push damage, then Mangetsu is good. Like, if you need to push damage and everything is on cooldown, you can just bind them, yep, again, damage, and then there's not very much to do. Like, you don't, like, if you don't need the healing, then there's no reason to do Sultan again, like, if you want to keep it. Like, in fact, I would probably say that if you're just pushing damage and everything else is on cooldown, then you should, like, if you don't need the healing, skip Oka. Like, just first one, second one, and then you just do a regular Kasha, and then you can dash and snare them again. That's probably way more helpful than healing that you didn't need. So that's something to consider. And that means you can snare, stun, prevent debuffs. Like, Samurai has a lot of stuff for something that normally is known to just do damage. Pretty funny how that works. And then with Zantetsuken, the one thing that is super important to keep in mind is that it can kill multiple players. You can kill an entire team in Crystalline Conflict if they mess up and both hit you and stand incorrectly. Let me just get into combat to charge Limit Break. It's going to take a while. It's 2 minutes. You tend to need Sultan in order to keep up with people who are trying to run away. Well, if you do dash, bind, so like if you bind them first, then you do Minauchi if, like, unless they use Purify. Like, if they Purify, the best you can do, I think, is just to sprint with them. Then you can, like, stun them when you're ready to, like, when you can. Like, just wait out their Purify, and then stun them, and then make your way to the bind again. Thank you for watching, Lemon. Thank you so much. But yeah, what I actually want to get about is that Zantetsuken is a line AoE. It says that it's 5 Yom's radius, but it feels like it's super slim. So, like, keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind, that it's super slim. So, like, if you want to hit Victor here and Lord Gatsu, you should probably make sure you're standing here and not here, just to be sure that you don't miss. It's not a line, it's just an AoE around your target. Are you sure about that? Well, we'll see. Let me just make sure that I'm in combat with both of these. Are you sure? I could have sworn. Well, you're right. My bad. I could have sworn it was a line AoE. Thank you for the correction. But yeah, Zantetsuken is just a radius around the target. My bad. That explains a lot, for me at least, because often I would just assume that it's because I missed. It's not very obvious because the line and, like, the effect of the slash is, like, it makes it look like it's supposed to be like a line AoE, right? But I can see why it isn't. Read around a Lighthouse 101. If you don't almost wipe to it, you're doing it wrong. I don't feel like my groups almost wipe to it. Or are you not talking about the math robot? I don't feel like I almost wiped Read around a light. Oh, wait. Yasmat? Yeah, Yasmat. That's true. He does in fact bring agony and sorrow to most alliance raids. But yeah, just to round up on this discussion with Samurai, the point that I'm mostly trying to make is that there's a lot of ways to play in PvP, and there's a lot of tricks you can do, and each person might play differently with the job. So the big thing is, what can you do? You can watch a guide on the job, but they might not cover everything. They might not have the opportunity to experience every situation. They might play in a way that doesn't put them in specific situations, so they will not tell you how to deal with them. So my best advice is, if you want to get good at a job in PvP, play the job in PvP. That is also a scary thing if you're playing Crystalline Conflict, especially ranked, is that as you get higher rank, it might be difficult to actually pick up a new job, because, you know, the other players are going to be good at their jobs. Hopefully. Like a knife through butter. Yeah, he's very memorable. Very memorable. Right, let me just go over here. Faint-hearted fighter. Right. So, I think we got around a bunch of stuff. Let me just see here. We got 34 Mogtomes. I think that's decent for how much we did. I think that was pretty good. 34 whole I mean, for what we did, we spent a lot of time talking and hanging out. But 34 is fine. Like, we did 3 pieces of content. But yeah, if you enjoyed the stream and would like to see more of the wonderful people that you've seen in the chat, remember that there is a community Discord server that you can join, where you will also find me. You'll also find a weekly schedule that shows what's coming up throughout the week. I also post those on YouTube and X. But they usually show up on the on the Discord server first, and they're easily accessible there. I also post every time I make a new video, post new videos, set up a new stream. It's always out on the Discord server first, so it might be a good place to go if you want to keep track of what's happening. You can also sign up to get tagged when I post something new, so you could technically join the server, mute the server, and then get the rank, or get the role so that you get a tag, so that you only get notified when I have something special to say. You could do that. You could also join the conversation. Yeah. On top of that, as Jelana said, if you liked the stream, I would very much appreciate if you left a like on the stream. It helps me very much with the YouTube algorithm and all that shenanigans. With that, tomorrow I'm releasing a video on what I feel makes a boss fight memorable. That isn't to say that that's the only things that makes a boss fight memorable. But it's like inviting to a discussion. So hopefully you'll find it, maybe you will find it nice to reminisce over the things you found memorable. It has a lot of memorable sound effects in it, so I hope you will enjoy that. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I'll make it a premiere because I really want to see how you guys feel about that, because it's a little different from some of the other videos I make. And then we do more solo challenge stream on Thursday, and then we talk about determination and direct hit on Friday. And then Saturday we have Small Guy's side quest. And welcome to the Cult of the Pink. Yeah, long reverse upside down name. What was it again? Can't remember what it was. Welcome to the Cult of the Pink. Thank you so much. A good example would be Seed of Sacrifice, I'd say. I actually don't include that one because I use other examples. But that would be an excellent thing to bring up in the comments. Or bring up in the conversation. But I just took some examples. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the emotes. Reverse upside down. I'll have to figure out how to write that in the end slate of my videos in a not too incredibly ridiculous way. Oh, Seed of Sacrifice is one of my favorite fights as well. Good luck. Thank you. Your name just writes off the page. Il Reverso. What was I saying? Yeah, but yeah, I think there's a lot of things that can make a fight memorable. So I just bring up some examples, like specific examples of what makes a fight memorable. And then Seed of Sacrifice just didn't come up in particular. But yeah, I hope you will find it interesting. And thank you all that came along for the content that we did. We did some of the most off-track content that we've done on these streams. I think we did Weeping City of Mars specific queue and Dunscaith specific queue, and then we did Frontline. Like, that is not something that like, I'm pretty sure those are some of the more rare sequences to do as dailies or piece of content to do. I think that was interesting. Right. So, good night, or good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are in the world. And I hope to see you all very soon. Maybe you'll see the premiere tomorrow, or maybe you'll watch it later. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.